Welcome to the SEAT77 Sports Desk. As always, I am Dave Dabbah, coming to you live on tape from the super plush Silicon Valley studios of SEAT77. We want to hear from you, North America. Send us an email at info@seat77.com. Producer Buck over here would also like me to remind you that we are now on TuneIn Radio, so subscribe to the super big SEAT77 TuneIn Radio channel when you have a chance. So lots to cover in today's Big Friday show. I've got one of my golf hats on, so I'm hoping that this afternoon I'll be able to sneak out for a couple holes of golf. But on the big show today, other than me golfing, we've got Johnny Football. Can he survive in Cleveland? A new sport debuts in New England called piling on the New England Patriots. Donald Trump and his cronies hang out at the Republican debate the other night on CNN. Steve Nash to the Warriors, but not as a player. And the Mayweather fight flops financially. All of that and more on today's super big show. Okay, so I thought we would kind of kick today's show off by talking about the Republican debate that was on CNN just 2 nights ago. And if you didn't hear, 23 million people in North America tuned in to watch the debate. Now, for me, at times, this big debate was like watching a Saturday Night Live script. And in fact, I can't wait to see what the guys at Saturday Night Live do when they parody, I'm sure they will, this particular debate. But it got so bad that, and I'm going to read this, one of the candidates actually said, you can stay in this country if you do some work in the agricultural space. In other words, if you are here illegally and I get my amnesty program in place, I'll give you a break if you pick some grapes. Anyway, so the debate had the highest ratings in the history of CNN. 23 million people tuned into CNN. Look, I got to tell you, all of these candidates really do scare me. There's just one candidate that I think if Jeb somehow became the Republican National Committee candidate for president, I think things would be okay. But any of the other people, including Donald Trump, I'm packing up the family and moving to Canada. The mass exodus to Canada is right around the corner. Look, the reality on this, though, is without Donald Trump there, who would have actually watched this particular debate? Look, nobody wants to hear from Rand Paul, and nobody wants to hear what Mike Huckabee has to say. So that being said, I think it is kind of interesting. Now think about this. Imagine if Donald Trump actually wins the White House, and there he's going to be. He's going to walk into the Oval Office. He's going to read the letter from the former president, Mr. Obama, and he's going to just sit there and he's going to be like, "What have I done? There's no way I really wanted to become president. All I want to do is play golf and sell real estate." That's all Mr. Trump is about. I think for Donald, I think he kind of looked at this as a bit of a joke and didn't really think he had a chance of winning. And now that he's continuing to lead in the polls, he's kind of like, it's like if you've ever interviewed for a job that you didn't want, and you just went in and you did really well, and you were super relaxed. And before you know it, you're in like the final interview for a job you don't want. And I think that's where Donald Trump really lies in all of this stuff. So anyways, so last night, me and the wifey are, we've got the children, we've got the 2 cats, the dog, and the hamster. Everybody's sleeping. Well, the hamster's up running miles because that's what the hamster does at night. So you can hear him. No matter where I put this hamster in this house, somebody can hear him running. Anyways, so we're sitting there, we're watching TV, and there was a segment on snakes. And so my wife is so terrified of snakes. I mean, she can't handle snakes. In fact, we had a snake out in front of one of our neighbors' houses a couple weeks ago, and she posted it on Facebook. And so for the next week after that, whenever we came home, I had to walk with her from the car to the house to make sure that there weren't any snakes around. Anyways, we're going to dive into the rest of the big show right now. If you haven't heard, Johnny Manziel has been named the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback for this weekend, as Josh McCown luckily is still suffering from a concussion. I guarantee if McCown played this weekend, he'd have a second concussion, and then he'd be out of the National Football League entirely. Look, I don't know about you, but I feel bad, really, really bad for Johnny Manziel. I mean, he gets drafted by Cleveland. He doesn't start. Then he has to suffer. And if you think about it, here's what Johnny's actually dealing with. He's dealing with a bad offensive line, bad route running. Have you seen any of those wide receivers run a decent route? The answer is no. They don't run good routes in Cleveland. Even the milkman in Cleveland doesn't run a good route. They have the worst coaching staff in the history of the National Football League. You know how I feel about Mike Pettin. And when you see Johnny Manziel out this weekend, trust me, he's going to look like a Pop Warner football player running for his life. And on top of it, as the season goes on, tiny little Johnny is going to be forced to play outside. Look, if I were Johnny, I would have checked myself into rehab too. Even if I didn't have a problem. I would have checked myself into rehab after being drafted and playing a year for the Cleveland Browns. Look, the best thing that could happen to Johnny is that he could somehow survive the season, somehow force a trade to the New Orleans Saints, and Johnny could go play as a backup for Drew Brees for a couple years so he could hone his game. All right, so if you haven't heard, a new sport has hit the airwaves in New England. Yes, it is time to pile on the New England Patriots. Now, if you remember back to the first game of the week, of the season, the Patriots were playing Pittsburgh, and there was the headset issues and all of those things. So this week, Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben, jumps onto a local radio station in Pittsburgh and starts talking about playing against the Patriots and his history of playing against the Patriots. So Big Ben's going back like 10 years, and he's talking about the first time he realized that the Patriots were probably stealing their play calls. So why does Big Ben wait 10 years? Well, the answer is everybody at this point, Jay Glazer, is piling on the New England Patriots. We've got Spygate. We have the phrase I coined last week called Liegate. And, of course, we have the 6 months of Deflategate from this year. So, and then, of course, we had Headset Gate last week. I'm so tired of the gates. The gates have to go away. So Big Ben's talking about this. Rambles on for about 30 minutes in this particular interview about how the New England Patriots have wronged the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, I'm not a huge Patriot fan, but I got to tell you, Pittsburgh, look, if you want to beat the Patriots, I suggest you try covering Gronk in the end zone. He caught 2 touchdowns, and there was nobody around him from Pittsburgh. So next time you play the Patriots, maybe what you really need to do is prepare a little bit better. So keep an eye on this, though. Over the next couple weeks, you're going to see more and more teams continuing to pile on the New England Patriots. So join us. Send us your how to pile on the New England Patriots stories at info@SEAT77.com. Look, I got to tell you, the Patriots, to me, at this point, are a lot like the Kardashians. Now, as you know, reality television is one of my favorite things to do and to watch. So think of it this way. Kris Kardashian is like Bill Belichick. You know, she pulls all the strings and she does everything. Then you've got Kim Kardashian. She's the superstar, the supermodel, who gets all sorts of attention for a wide variety of things. She is Tom Brady. And then you have the rest of the team, the rest of the Kardashian sisters. We're really not sure, and brother, why they're famous, but they are. And that's like the rest of the New England Patriot football team. I want to hear from you, North America. Send us your emails at info@SEAT77.com. We will get them on the air for you. So apparently, the Peyton Manning is dead went away last night as Peyton finally woke up. He's like an old car, in the winter. You gotta give him a little bit of a jump start. You gotta wait a couple miles, and then when you're about like 20 miles into your journey, it finally kicks in, and that was like Peyton Manning last night. So after he threw a pick six pick, then Manning finally settled down. He threw the ball like 80 times last night. Completed, I think, maybe 25 or 26 passes and threw 3 touchdowns. So it was 3 touchdowns, 25 for like 46, and 1 interception as the Denver Broncos just flat out stole that game from the Kansas City Chiefs last night. It was a fumble. It was a stumble. And it was a stolen victory for the Denver Broncos last night in Kansas City. I want to hear from you, though. Tell us what you think. Is Peyton Manning officially done? Will he make it through the season? I want to hear from you, North America. info@SEAT77.com. All right. Steve Nash is heading to the Golden State Warriors, but not as a player, as an actual assistant coach. Now, the Golden State Warriors here in the Silicon Valley are such a tight-knit group. They're so tight-knit that Steph Curry can get away with saying in a tweet that we finally have a real coach as he takes a shot at Steve Kerr. Anyway, so it'll be interesting to see how things go with Steve Nash. I'm sure it will be a good addition to the coaching staff that will be missing Alvin Gentry, who went on to the New Orleans Hornets during the offseason. One other Steph Curry update for you. Other than, I got 2 Steph Curry updates. So last night was the big back-to-school night at the junior high. Excuse me. I'm sorry. My kids would be very upset right now. Excuse me. The middle school. Dad, it's not junior high anymore. It's middle school. We don't call it junior high, Dad. It's middle school. So anyway, back to school night last night at the big middle school. And so one of the teachers was giving a presentation, and she ended her presentation with a picture of Steph Curry, who she had a chance to meet last year during the big run that the Warriors went on. Anyways, if you haven't heard, Steph signed a new contract or an extension to his Under Armour contract through 2024. Whatever happened to like a 2-year deal? Anyway, so this is a 9-year extension, reportedly worth north of $200 million. Amazing. All right, so last story of the big show this Friday here at SEAT77. We got Floyd Money Mayweather posted some bad financial results from last weekend's fight. So look, I don't know about you. I mentioned this last week. We decided here at the big household that we weren't going to get the fight. It just didn't interest any of us. None of us were actually interested in the fight at all. What's amazing to me is that 500,000 people in North America, 500,000 of you, I don't know who you are, but 500,000 of you actually purchased the fight. Anyways, if you compare that to the Pacquiao fight, where 4 million people purchased the pay-per-view for the big fight. So that's so if you kind of do the math, you get down and you get dirty and you do some math, some middle school math, some junior high math. Basically, it's 35 million for last weekend's fight is what they brought in just off the pay-per-view ticket, versus over 400 million for the big Pacquiao fight. Anyway, says Floyd Mayweather says he's all done with boxing. None of us here in the big household or at the SEAT77 team believe it. We think Floyd will be back. Anyway, so a big weekend of football coming up. Looking forward to it. I believe my Minnesota Vikings will find a way to rebound. I'm predicting one other prediction for this weekend, that the Pittsburgh Steelers will rebound and beat the San Francisco 49ers pretty easily. For producer Buck's giving me the wrap-up. For the SEAT77 Sports Desk, I'm Dave Dabbah, reminding you that not all news is real. Really, it isn't. Some of it is fake. And good luck, North America.